Happy New Year if you're seeing this live or after the fact. Hey everybody, what's up? This is Retrokid Reviews. Taking my advice from the last couple of weeks and doing some sitting while talking about Christmas Haul slash the best and worst of movies of the year. Quick thing, if you saw last week's I think shorts was obviously my thank you and obviously happy holiday videos and short. There was also a bit of a snafu that happened with this week's Tumblr poll for my first retro review of the new year. So I kind of made an executive decision that I think I tried explaining in the short. So hopefully I do this right. Heads or tails, let's see what we get. Still heads. So either I got the luckiest penny of all of New York, or Destiny really wants me to talk about Steven Seagal as my first retro review of the year. So as far as January content goes, there's not probably going to be much. I'll talk about it as time goes on. We'll play it by ear as usual with January content. Mostly I'll get back into the swing of news and stuff like that. I actually would love to talk about What If Season 3 with this guy to break in some expert-related content as well. So speaking of, let's not stand unceremoniously. One last bit of roundup on channel stuff before we get into the top fives here. I wasn't kidding. I think if you saw either my Discord links preview through Trench's Discord or probably the community notes I'll probably show by the time this drops video-wise. Yeah, this is the box for the Lightning Collection, my Morphin Alien Rangers Season 3 squad. So I'll talk more about this as a dedicated review, as well as my double pack with Captain America and Steve you guys saw in last week's shorts. So that having been said, let's get this over with. No IMDb here. We're just going to go off of everything I probably will have to misremember or re-remember from the... I got to figure that out with Denji later. Oh, no, I don't. Okay. Can you tell this is first take? Okay. Best and worst movies in the movie of 2024. Let's go. Can you tell I'm trying my best not to do this at 2 in the morning? Okay. Starting off at the best, and we'll get to the worst in a minute. Honorable mentions will go to, I believe... Yes, Furiosa and Twisters. Twisters, I of course did review for, so card there. And links down below for everything I will be probably mentioning in this review of the year. What's there to say about both these movies that I haven't already said about Twisters? It's a good spiritual sequel and stuff. I'm going to try to raise my seat here. Sorry in advance. I look really low. But not as low as those twins of Twister. Oh, tornadoes. There we go. There's my body weight. There we are. We're back in frame. And yeah, for Furiosa, I've been meaning to wanting to talk about this and a few other shows also. We'll get to that when we get the TV list later in the week. So, that having been said, Furiosa looks good. It's a shame for the box office, if anything else. George Miller looked like he put his all like usual with Mad Max films. And the less say about both of them, the better. So, on to the top 5 proper for best. Number 5 is going to go to Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And looking back, only my first viewing was probably my review of it. It's actually a pretty good franchise restarter. I didn't think it would work. Like everyone else thought the same thing as well. The hook they had for being into the deep future ironically makes more sense. It's still grounded to what the Matt Reeves movies were doing. So pleasant surprise, more or less, to kick off the list. So we'll leave that at number 5. So, Transformers 1 at number 4. Same thing here, also with Furiosa, like I said in the honorable mentions. Awesome movie, just wish it had more gas in the tank for the box office, if anything. Go to my review, obviously, here as well. I do mean when I said at the time of that recording that Brian Tyree Henry's performance of Megatron is a lot better than what you think it is. It's almost Frank Welker level at times. I think Kind of Funny and Review said it best as well. I'll leave links to that in the description. And, yeah, I really hope it gets a sequel. I hope, if anything, it gets a sequel series, a sister series to go with it on Paramount Plus to go along with it. There is also a Paramount Plus series that I have to talk about eventually when that show finishes. Well, that's going to be the new, I guess, meta for, update content around here. So we'll get to Dexter in a minute someday. But until then, yeah, Transformers 1 pretty much broke a lot of curses when it comes to Bayformisms. It brought an original actor from the Bay Years to be a damn good Starscream. Yeah, hi to that guy, by the way, Buscemi-wise. And, yeah, ironically broke a lot of, celebrity curses. I don't know much on, ScarJo's end, but on Chris Hemsworth's end, his Optimus was pretty good. Close to the original, and in a lot of ways, not bad for a good try. So, going on to number 3, Alien Romulus. I came back around after my viewing. I think I did my second viewing in the pre-up for this end of the year review. Rewatching it now, it is kind of jarring what happened with Ian Holmes' character Ash being the designated model for the Romulus and Remus. I'm also aware two things are happening on the Fede Alvarez's side of the things. I don't know if he wants to do a sequel or prequel with the Remus side of that starship station that was in the movie, or he wants to fast track like an AVP sequel. I would love for him to do an Alien vs Predator. I feel like despite the shortcomings with that movie, there is a little bit of trust there, in my opinion, with it. Also, I've come to also realize after that review that I think Ridley Scott has been co-producing since Covenant and will continue to probably do so because he absolutely hates the Alien Queen for some weird reason and doesn't want to make that the meta of how they're made. He wants to make all his Prometheus stuff canon, so that's why he's really knocked down to number 3 is because a lot of infighting with canon, not really much with the story. So the story itself is actually really good. Go to my full review of that. I talk about it more gushingly than I probably did here. Also, last thing I probably forgot to mention, I've got a little bit of a attraction for my review. My apologies on talking about the third act of that. Turns out they had actual practical for that guy. It was actually another, I think, in the universe tradition of having ex-basketball stars show up as like final boss monsters since like the original series. So again, my bad in advance there. There was CG being used, and of course was Ian Holmes robot. So my apologies in advance for that. So yeah, with my apologies out of the way, let's get to the good part, the final 2 in the best list, because, wow, we gotta talk about, we're probably gonna have to speed run the rest on this one. Yeah, Doom Part 2, was really good. It was a very early heavy hitter for the summer movie season, you could definitely tell. The popcorn bucket meme was very live and well, especially for number 1, so we'll talk about that in a minute. But, yeah, honestly, there's not much to say other than go to my full review of that. I think I covered both parts on that because I've been meaning to talk about both these movies since the pandemic started, and now finally coming at the end of it. I have not seen the new series prequel they've been doing. Heard mixed results, mixed reviews, nothing really too crazy, but if anything else for Doom fans of the books, you are definitely thriving, and I'm very much happy for you, Isla Gaib, for number 2. So, number 1, no surprise here, we had a really good Marvel list and DC list movie season as far as the best goes, but unfortunately, that king came for its crown, at least here on this channel, and it is Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, it is, by all metrics, a good movie because, mostly, yes, it's a third in the franchise, but it was, in many ways, a good homecoming for Hugh Jackman coming back to this character after Logan, and a nice long goodbye for the Foxverse era of Marvel. And I tried explaining that in the full review, so I want to explain this here before we get to the worst. It's a nice welcome and callbacks to a lot of things that was happening in those two decades a year of that side of the franchise. And it is a nice goodbye that should have happened a long time ago after the acquisition in 2019. And for Jackman himself, I still love the fight scenes. Seeing him now with the full R in the blue and yellow was like a night and day difference that should have been there from the start. From the franchise, even on the PG-13 level scale, if anything else. Just again, yeah, this and X-Men 97, which I will definitely talk about in the best of the year list for TV, definitely did a lot of good for just this old style of get-up as far as X-Men unis go. So that's at least the cool part. On the Deadpool side of things, yeah, the comedy's getting a little stale. Even Ryan's kind of a minute in it sometimes. But you get the best version of Wade. Again, this is probably still recency biased, which is weird to say coming into January content, I know. But, yeah, that's kind of how it is. It's not the definitive, like, rhythm I think Ryan would have with, like, the jokes with Wade, but choreography-wise is, like, on point than what Wade would normally do in the original 2 movies under just Fox in general. So, I don't know, it's a good exercise of a lot of demons, both behind the scenes and probably off, and the cameos were amazing. I think the one that still surprised me to this day is the Blade cameo, and given what's going on with Blade still to this day, that joke might be the only thing canon about Blade being in the MCU at this point, so I'll leave that as is for the best. So, on to honorable mentions for the worst. Like I said, we're speedrunning this here, ladies and gentlemen. So, we're going to be going into the honorable mentions, and it's Rebel Moon. Yeah, both parts and that extended card. Yeah, for extra credit, I had to do the both cuts of it, and it was 5.5 hours. I'm not getting back. I'm gonna be real with you. The art kind of worked at times. It kind of didn't at times, and I'm genuinely amazed this is not my number one. Given the next 5 ahead of them. Speaking of recency bias, number 5 and the worst is, of course, Kraven the Hunter. Like I said, what hasn't been said has already been said in my full review. Go to it as well. Yeah, it's the last gasp of Sony trying to be a Spider-Man-less franchise. Still a few weeks removed from that movie. That is still sticking to me of like a decent way of like explaining these movies now without having Sony having the ire over it. Also for Sony and the copyrights, I've been doing mostly VLUX stuff, so good luck trying to get me on copyrights. So fingers crossed. Yeah, I'm already jinxing this already. The less said, the better. Aaron Taylor Johnson's always got better projects lined up, like I said earlier this week. Sorry, wow, what time is it? Earlier this month with 28 Years Later, and I think he did a guest appearance in Nosferatu. So that'd be pretty cool too. For those who are watching that movie and are already having in their top 10s, more on you, good on you on that one as far as like recency bias goes. As for this movie, it is a mess, and the less I say about their chameleon, the better. So, going on to number 4, which I am genuinely surprised this is my 4, and then I see the other 3, I was like, oh yeah, that's why. I might swap, probably on the day, screw it. Crow 2024, I am genuinely amazed this is at the bottom 4, I'm going to be real with you. What's there that hasn't been said that I said in the full review of both the Retro 94 original and the remake? Other than thank you to everyone who saw my views on the remake. So here's what I really think about it. It's still shit, and Skarsgård is doing the best it would to kill the material, but again, I'm glad he's not in the niche of, like, being the remake guy that makes remakes look good, because apparently he's also in Nosferatu. Again, I'm plugging for another movie, which, ironically, I was plugging this movie in my review during my brother's bachelor party, so if he's watching, hey, my bad for that still. It was recency bias at the time, it was kind of what it was. It was a really bargain bin remake, to be honest with you. You can tell the 10 years of development all over down to the cinematography and stuff like that. My apologies to the cast, crew, and as usual, but it's still a bad remake. I can't really say much. Other than whatever is probably already said online. And you can tell this is at the bottom 4, no memes. The rest, looking for meme fodder, especially for number 3, Venom 3 The Last Dance. Like I said, it's at the bottom 3 for a reason. It's still an okay movie if you are a Tom Hardy fan and this is like your bad movie like niche to go with your friends. It's still there. Was it worth having to have an upgraded Venom figure to go with essentially this review? Yeah, in the long run, should have been a comic run, honestly, to get the Dylan of it all out of the way. Yeah, I gotta get up to date with the lore, what's going on there. Yeah, honestly, like I said, like this list, it's basically a speed run to the finish when it comes to that movie's plot and everything. I barely remember any of the Venoms that were being used. I don't know if any of them were in canon to like the Planet of the Symbiote storyline they were adapting throughout all these 3 movies. And you could definitely tell that Tom Holland himself was getting tired by the end. I don't know where exactly. A few chase scenes early on, depends on their shooting schedule. Miles may vary. Less said, also the better, because there's another Sony movie here. You can tell the top 3 bad movies were all Sony. There was a race to the bottom here, and this was second closest to the bottom. Say it with me now. She lost her mom losing to spiders in the Amazon. Of course it would be Madam Web. And number 2. And good kudos to Isabel Machado, Dakota Johnson, and pretty much everyone in that cast. Just being against this movie by the marketing, by the word go. At least on Dakota Johnson's front. Makes sense. She's like terminally offline from what I've heard over the years. Quick recommendation. This might be my last card, but I highly recommend 100% Seats watch of it. They just had a fun time just shooting the shit, drinking to it, and just seeing the reactions of their Discord going like, what the fuck is going on, kind of stuff. It was actually pretty cool. As for this movie, memes though it had, it was not enough to save their box office. I would say out of the 3 Sony Spider-Man-less movies that made no money this year, ironically Kraven made the least, and all 3 of them made the least compared to Morbius. Again, let that sink in money-wise before we even get to the acting of it all. And the ADR that was all over Ezekiel and so many others. I think the ADR must have doubled down more in Kraven. I think I might have mentioned that in my full review. So, last up is, why I'm here, I guess, doing it at 2 in the morning, because I absolutely give up, talking about Joker, Follow Will Do, aka Joker 2. Yeah, for my number one of the year, it is absolutely the worst movie of the year. It is a case study of what would happen if the guy that was known for the Hangover movies did a Joker, became a surprise hit, and did nothing with the money. A lot of people are kind of defending and saying, like, well, of course he did it. He stuck it to the industry. I'm like, did he, though? Did he? And yeah, I can say less said the better here, but honestly, it's a damn shame. There was a lot of talent still behind all of it to dress up what was obviously a big-ass turd here, to be honest with you. Acting was fine, but at the same time, you're still trying to follow up after the original movie 5 years ago, so who really knows? Also, it's been 5 years. There was like a one and done in a lot of their minds, mine included, and it probably should have stayed that way, given how the first couple of minutes of that movie started, just like railing on the fandom of it, trying to be against it. He was doing a lot of complicated things. He was trying to like attack the fans, attack incels that got adopted into it, and then drop it because he got afraid of it. It was that kind of writing going forward, and that kind of style directing in Todd's case. And this is really more of a case study at Todd and not the production itself. Like, WB was going to say yes, so it doesn't matter what. It did make money. They don't say no to money, but they definitely don't say no to, I guess, panic attacks while filming it, apparently. So that's kind of it as far as my end of the year goes for the movies. So come back next time for the TV's list, which I might have to change because I have to do some 11th hour stuff for the number one worst TV show of the year, because I'm currently hate watching it to get it in time. So hopefully I get that next month. And with that all being said, end cards finally coming up to my first figure here. Since I don't have time and I don't have the weapons, I'm trying to go to bed after this recording. Cable over here to my previous video here. Venom also here to the holiday shorts playlist that you've been seeing lately these last couple of days. Critical Role might be coming back to finish Campaign 3, I think, in a few weeks. So be on the lookout for my final shorts for that. And then finally, my overall thoughts of either the Endgame or if I have time, if they're still spacing out, I could probably do some quick theories of how it's going to go down. If not, I'll just talk about the Endgame in total since we're that behind. Shirt here to sub the channel, hit the notification bell down below, and a very happy 2025 from Retrokid Reviews. And wow, that's a lot of talking for nearly 20 minutes. I must be a YouTuber because I got the script. I do look it.